I don't know why Eddie Murphy doesn't, and Denzel Washington and Tom Hanks don't want to sit down and talk to me. And it's like, first of all, you're not qualified to talk to those people.
Let's talk hip hop stars, biggest stars, and their quote unquote responsibilities, or even if these are responsibilities. So Akademiks went on a rant. This ain't about him. It's just about the concept. He went on a rant. He went on a rant saying that a lot of the biggest stars avoid media outlets that are in their culture. He said they use the culture. A lot of journalists won't say anything about it because they're hoping for an interview. He said J. Cole does ESPN. He won't do Drink Champs. He won't do $1 million worth of game. So they're basically using the culture. And he called out Kendrick, Drake, and...
Kendrick don't talk to nobody.
My point exactly. Kendrick, I think it was Kendrick, Drake, and J. Cole. I laughed out loud when he said they're using the culture. That...
They don't like you, dude.
Is hilarious when he said that.
That's actually hilarious.
It's like, of all the people to say someone is using the culture, fam.
You literally have never been to Chicago, Illinois,
bruh, and
had a whole YouTube channel devoted to what was going on in Chicago, Illinois. And he still hasn't been.
I was about to say, and if he has been, you can guarantee it is full of what's the Rangers? Space Rangers. He's got plenty of those with him around him if he goes to Chicago. Please believe that. But what do y'all think about this?
There's some Rangers out there that want to see him.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about this? Because Charlamagne was like, hey, I kind of can see where he's coming from. They do have a responsibility. What do you guys think about that?
Look, Cole, I can't. The last time I really saw Cole sit down with somebody was he did this interview with Ryan Coogler, the dude who did Black Panther and Creed. I mean, and it was funny because like Ryan accidentally told on him that J. Cole was married, which I thought was a funny moment. But these are guys that don't really sit down and talk to anybody. You know, even during their promo runs, like. And when you talk about like he might go on ESPN, First Take or whatever, you know what kind of a platform that is? That's in, you know, the people who still pay for cable is still in 50 states, you know.
Right. He also was playing basketball.
Thank you. So, I mean, you're able to tie that into some things. Kendrick, once again, he doesn't talk to anybody. I can't remember the last time Kendrick sat down and talked to anybody. And
it was outside of a concert that he was at, and was that little girl that always interviews dudes.
Oh, yeah.
That's the last thing I saw.
Yeah, about when he said, you know, I like to watch Martin and eat Fruity Pebbles.
He was on the Breakfast Club I'm talking about second, third album maybe, in between To Pimp a Butterfly or somewhere back in there. That's the last time I've seen
I don't remember
him
that.
at the Breakfast Club.
And Drake, I mean, like, you know, he sits down with Elliot, you know, and maybe he'll sit down with...
Maybe not anymore.
The Ghost of Tupac on his album. So he don't want to talk to y'all.
I mean, like, you got to understand, like, honestly, other than the Breakfast Club, where they get some big interviews, they're just people who are never going to, like, first of all, you stick with, I don't know, who does Akademiks sit down with? I don't ever see him sit down with anybody.
I don't care if he does either.
Yeah, I saw on Instagram, he actually sat down with Conway. He sat down with Conway the Machine. I couldn't believe that.
He talked with Charlamagne.
Yeah.
During that one little incident, I forget who it was about, but he did have a conversation with Charlamagne in reference to that.
Well, he prefaced his comment by saying, "This isn't about me. I don't care if I get the interview. I say F him."
He cares.
I'm like, you definitely care. If Drake popped out and said he was going to do an interview with you, you would run and pull the red carpet out. So don't cap. You definitely would take the interview after this speech. So I don't buy that. But what came to my mind was, you got to remember how these outlets are messy also. Social media, what they call media manipulation, and how things can get turned quickly. I think that might deter artists sometimes from sitting down with certain people who thrive off of that. And also, you see what I'm saying?
We live in a different time if you have a large enough following, they don't need to sit down and talk to anybody.
That's right.
Okay.
Their following's bigger than
your following is bigger than the platform. You're never going to... Beyonce is never going to sit down and talk to any of you ever again. For what?
Got me there.
First of all, she doesn't need to. Like, it would have to be somebody, like, so big. And, like, Beyonce don't even talk to Oprah. So she's not going to come and talk to any of you.
When's the last time Jay popped out? Elliot Wilson and B-Dot. Wasn't that the last time he popped out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And it was a structured... you could tell they've covered what they were going to talk about.
It also has to do with it has to do with trust. Right?
Trust, agreed.
You know, somebody mentioned it, that, you know, it's the trust in the platform as well, that it's not going to, you know, chase the viral moment in that aspect. It's going to be an authentic interview. It's going to be something that's, you know.
Jay sat down with Kevin Hart too. I forgot about that.
Did he?
But look he's talking to another person who's extremely famous,
right,
and who doesn't want to get caught up in gotcha moments.
But speak to the part about the quote unquote obligation?
I don't think there's any obligation.
That's what I want to ask. You don't think so?
No, I don't think there's any obligation for because when I think of like you say obligation to the culture,
right.
but that's what the music's for. The media is supposed to do the media's job. Whether there's an interview or not, you're supposed to do the things that whatever you're responding to whatever is in said culture.
Right.
The media is not the culture in my aspect. It's just like it's supposed to report on it. It's supposed to talk about it. Even back to when we were blogging, we weren't, sure, we could interview stuff, but realistically, we're sharing what people are doing. That's the purpose of it.
Right.
I personally don't think artists have any obligation at all to, same with athletes. I know it's in their contracts they have to talk to press, but I don't think they should have any type of obligation to do anything more than their job. And
after a game, so they don't have to talk to someone outside of literally being at work. Mm-hmm. So if I'm not in this arena or if I'm not on a Super Bowl press tour, so to speak, they don't have to talk to anybody just walking on the street.
Right, but again, but still, my point's still the same. It's still the same.
No,
you know what I mean? It's like, so it's like, I don't know. I feel like the media is here to assist artists. But outside of that, it's not like we're talking about, an obligation from a standpoint of like social awareness of anything. It's just their music, because what are hip hop media? They're just talking about hip hop stuff. Like,
I mean, but who are they at the end of the day?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, a lot of times they don't have the artist's best interest at heart anyway. They want you to get on there and slip up and say something that you haven't said anywhere else, so they can run with that. They want to 𝐷𝗘𝗥𝗧𝗏 you, essentially. Or what's my guy Boosie just invited to his house, Vlad. You know what I'm saying? And I don't put the blame on them for people spilling the beans to them because they're not moving correctly. But I mean, at the same time, you're not owed this conversation just because you have a platform and you want them. You know what I'm saying? They don't need you.
It's funny. It's fun. Go ahead, Long. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think it's the opposite. I think it's hip hop media's responsibility. Mm-hmm. I would even say to go out of their way to showcase more of what is going on within the culture itself, outside of just the people that are just so big that they don't need it,
or outside of the controversy. Yeah, because that's the only thing that it seems like they want to report on, and that's what's turning a lot of people away from them.
That's been my gripe as it relates to the examples that Terry used. You talk about 𝐷𝗘𝗥𝗧𝗏, you talk about Vlad. I'm not saying they are solely responsible for anything. What I'm saying is the responsibility comes in also, in my opinion, for the line of questioning. Like the dude AD that used to be with 𝐷𝗘𝗥𝗧𝗏. I don't know if you guys saw this, but he just called him out. They were beefing about something because they've obviously separated, but 𝐷𝗘𝗥𝗧𝗏 asked him to get 1 million views without his name being involved in a hashtag. AD turned around and said, well, you get 1 million views without anything involving gang culture or negativity as a result to hip hop.
So he let somebody sleep with his wife.
Or he mentioned that too. Fair point.
Yeah.
Because 85%, 90% of your content is talking to street dudes about street politics, and that has nothing to do with hip hop. Right. That's a fair assessment, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
Well, no, and I think part of this, it links back to an old argument to where once artists get to a certain level, they stop coming around. Like, this stems from in the 80s. I remember this when Whitney Houston hit a certain spot, like she wasn't coming on Soul Train or being on Ebony Jet's showcase anymore because she was
smoking.
Because she could, she could go on the Tonight Show and sit down and talk to Barbara Walters. When it was time to do her promo, she had those outlets. Right. It was the same thing for Michael Jackson, to a certain extent for Janet Jackson. Now Bobby Brown, even though he was on all he still came around. He would still show up to spots, but that was Bobby Brown. But there was this thing is once you crossed over as a black artist, like you weren't stopping by to talk to Donnie Simpson at a certain point. Yeah. And if you did, you had a list of questions. And if Donnie Simpson got out of line, not that Donnie Simpson would get out of line, but they would basically say, if you can ask these questions and then you can't. And if you mess this up, somebody at the record company could be like, you're not getting any more videos from this person to this person. It's not like that anymore. So like when you are upset that you don't get to talk to these certain people, okay, but in the landscape of hip hop now, there's so many other people, and Lone kind of alluded to this. Well, then talk to the other people that are doing stuff.
right,
that are active.
Yeah,
right.
You know, if these
that
people
want to talk to you,
who are at
Right.
the top of the or at the top of the mountain, and a lot of them don't do interviews with anybody, or if they do, it's with somebody that they're familiar and friendly with. Okay, fine. Just understand you're never going to get that interview, and you should move on and try to talk. Like, a lot of people could make bigger and better names for themselves if they would just talk to artists who might be bubbling, or just somebody that you like.
Right.
You know, don't. You're not going to sit down and talk to Drake. It's not going to happen. I mean, like, he gave that awkward interview to that
Random white woman,
that random girl, and I just thought I was
That
like,
was weird, but
that was all weird energy, and that's probably why Drake doesn't do a lot of interviews.
but that's her entire shtick, though.
Yeah, so
I mean, on the flip side,
And that's probably where all of this is coming from, right?
could be.
That
that's
interview?
probably it'd be like, who is this nobody
Because
that got an interview with Drake?
Because we've talked about this a couple weeks ago, where was it Elliot Wilson and Ebro?
Well, yeah, they were talking about
But
him.
it sounds
it's
like
similar.
It sounds
It's
like it's
similar.
from the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about Big Boy, right?
Yeah.
Big Boy is one of the ones I think he's the opposite, because you always hear people that come on and say, Big, I remember when you looked out for me back in whatever,
Right.
or I remember when I was coming up. I love to see those.
It's cyclical.
Yeah, I love to see those, because from an obligation standpoint, Sway's another one.
Exactly.
Like, you always see,
Martinez.
they always get their props, and people say, I remember when. You always hear that in
Because
interviews.
the thing that's different with them is they were all about being a media personality.
True.
Yeah.
They were all about trying to learn this person or give you a little more information about this person without trying to tarnish this person, so
Good
to
point.
speak. Just so
Straight to
just
the point.
to get
Straight to the point I was
view,
saying.
you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think those type of media personalities are missing in today's times, honestly.
They don't want to build; they want to move in.
Yeah.
Plus, everything is a brand now. The people that are interviewing the stars are focusing on their brand instead of focusing
Well,
on.
that's always a thing. I mean, even Sway's focusing on his brand. You look behind, it's a Sway in the morning in the background. I mean,
I just think I'm talking about from an intentions standpoint. I still don't think his intentions are. I don't think Sway's intentions are bad.
I don't think it has anything to do with brand, though. I think
You don't think so?
No, not at all. Why brand?
The reason I'm saying brand is because
Everybody cares about their brand.
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, if you care about your brand, some people choose to focus on negativity to push their brand. I don't
That
think
is
Sway is
their
one.
brand,
But
though.
it's still their brand, right?
Well, yeah, you got me there. That is their brand.
I mean,
If
like-
that is their brand. That's true.
I think
That's a good point.
Terry alluded to it, and I mentioned earlier. I think it comes down to media people. We don't have a lot of people that are just doing media the way that media used to be done, and how it's just like news reporting. It's like, think about Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
Fox News isn't a news. It's not news. It's like opinions.
Right.
It's like all propaganda.
Yeah. They literally got sued for
And
propaganda.
Yeah. So, but it's like, and they say, oh yeah, our people know that it's not news. No, they don't.
Nah, they do not.
But that's how everything is nowadays. It's just kind of like, it's not just reporting what it is and letting people make in their determination of whatever it is. It's like, no, let me either get what's hot or just, it's all opinion based related stuff.
But
So-
imagine if you worked in Hollywood.
That's a good point.
And you were and you're like, I don't know why Eddie Murphy doesn't, and Denzel Washington and Tom Hanks don't want to sit down and talk to me. And it's like, first of all, you're not qualified to talk to those people,
right.
Which is a real thing.
and those, and if they only give so many interviews, they're not going to stop and talk to you,
Right.
And I think a piece that's missing here and that we all understand is that it's all about relationships.
But but it's just like, okay, you're not going to sit down and be able to talk to Will Smith or whoever. But you know what? There was 20 people in that movie.
Yeah.
Right.
There was
right.
somebody, this was their first role. Maybe you sat down and talked to them and say, hey, what was that? And you don't know who that person is going to be later on.
Because you might turn into Big Boy. You sat down with me when I was the extra
Getting
guy
on.
in
When I was-
American Gangster
When
or
I was
whatever.
searching for an opportunity,
Exactly.
like
Where
this.
I was hoping somebody would sit.
You
and talk
took
to
time
me.
out to ask me what my experience was like. That's
a lot
building
of that has to
relationships.
do, like what you're saying, that's part of building their personal brand.
True.
So if I'm sitting down with you, now more people are looking at me,
Right.
and I can get more jobs. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So you threw me that solid, I can throw you a solid once. You know what I'm saying? Get to where I'm going.
Facts.
Yeah, it's like waging social capital over monetary click
Yeah.
stuff. Clickbait. Social.
You notice all the people
social
that
capital
build
is
those type of relationships, when they get back together, it's always positive.
True.
It's not trying to figure out what the next big story out of you is.
Angle.
It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's friends getting together, having a conversation.
I remember when You Ain't Got the Answer Sway happened. And even Kanye checked himself.
That was organic.
That was organic. He's like, Sway, I love you, man. Like, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. That was huge, knowing Kanye. For him to check himself live in the middle of a Kanye rant, but that goes to show you.
I don't think he did it live though.
No,
he came back years
on.
later. He checked himself. No, he checked himself like maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, when
I thought
when the Adidas deal fell apart.
Yeah.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the actual interview where he put his hand on his shoulder and said, "I apologize, bro. That's my fault." That was on the spot.
Oh, I don't know.
It was in the same interview.
It was probably a Kanye. I apologize, but let me tell you again why you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because he did that, and then he went to the Breakfast Club too and did an interview, and he wasn't as rah with them like he was with Sway. And him and Sway actually had a friendship.
Facts. Yep. All right, man. Well, some people are walking around speaking about obligation, but I think we all made good points.
At the end of the day, nobody is obligated to you. You can ask and they can say no.
I'm not obligated to talk to you.
Yeah.
Tell them long.
I go out and feel like I'm not obligated to talk to some of the people that I see and I know.
Nah, man. Back when I used to walk my dog, you're not even obligated to come up
real
and
right
pet
there.
my dog, man.
Yeah.
I'm not obligated to play your request.
Yeah.
No. No, man.
All right, man. So clearly nobody here is obligated to do anything.
Nope.
People
Social
are-
anxiety
Part of your job,
is real.
Lone, you're a podcaster.
Social
Go talk.
anxiety is real.
I talk. You want to hear me talk, man? Then tune in.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I'm here.
This is where I get all my talking for the whole week out.
If you see any of these brothers outside, you better not say nothing to
Oh,
them.
you can say
You can
something,
say
but just
something,
social anxiety
Yeah, say that
sometimes
you
is
enjoy
real.
the
That's
show.
all
That's a
I'm
real
saying.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
You want to come up here and debate me on what I said about Bone Thugs and Harmony 3 weeks ago? I was like, I really.
Bro, I don't
feel
even
like
remember.
Those people exist now.
And
Be
to be
clear.
honest, I probably don't even remember what I said. So,
It's people that remember though.
oh, I know. I mean,
At 21, 25, you said that Eminem, blah, 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 blah. Do you remember that?
No.
I'll say no. I don't remember it, but I'm sure that what I said was what I felt.
Look, I've watched back the show, and I was like, oh, I don't remember saying that. And I certainly don't remember saying it like that, but I must have meant it in the moment, and that's why I'm fine with it.
Exactly. I don't think. Yeah.
I don't ever regret.
watch-
anything
I don't
that
regret
said.
anything that I've said
No.
on the show,
sure
except
not.
for when I said maybe I shouldn't have said that. But like, no, like everything that I say on here is what I feel. I'm not.
Word is bond,
It's
kid.
what it is.
There we go. We just got to live with the results. All right.
We can cut these cameras off right now. Sway.
You ain't got the answers, Lone.
Turn all this off. You ain't got to do this. It's cool.
You ain't got the answers, Sway. He
You
had
from a
the
small
answers.
town. You can got the answers, bro.
Sway had the answers.
He actually did.